Hi everyone. Welcome to week 8 of your Introduction to Computer Concepts course. This week we are covering assessing security threats. So once you have a computer or computers accessing any type of network, it's really important that we make sure that it's protected against others using our data or getting into our computers. So security is simply the steps that the computer user takes to prevent someone from doing that. So there's a lot of different things that could um, you could be affected by when we talk about security threats. So these are just a few of them. Malware is any type of program that's intended to cause harm or to basically take your information and get it to someone else without your permission. In other words, you don't know they're accessing your information and it's sending it somewhere else, bank accounts, things like that. When we talk about viruses, this is when we're talking about a program that's actually on your computer that tells your computer to do something that you don't want it to do. And they give the example of erasing a disk drive. There is antivirus software that's out there that searches any type of executable files to look for certain sequences of characters that causes these things to happen, and basically either cleans those files or disables those commands and that type of thing. And then there's spyware, which is secretly gathers information from your computer and sends it back to somebody else, usually without your knowledge. And again, we do have anti-spyware software that detects that spyware and deletes it. Depending on, what type of computer you're using, whether it's a personal or private computer or whether you're working on a network for your company, you may already have some of these things installed in the background that your company manages. The next thing that they cover in this section is the firewall. And the firewall is what many of us have if we're working on a network that is company owned, and it basically prevents any other computer on the internet from gaining access and doing things to our computers without our knowledge. So it could be an actual hardware or it could be software. A lot of companies have built-in firewalls, and then our own routers in our personal homes also have some sort of built-in firewall. So it's basically just kind of in there and watching incoming and outgoing traffic, and it puts a stop to anything that might be considered a threat. So for example, for my company, there are certain things that are identified by our firewall as possible threats when they come through our email. And a lot of times that has to do with the number of recipients that are on the email and things like that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to delete them all. It just will hold it until somebody has a chance to go in there and look at it and say, oh yeah, that's okay, I do want to see that particular email, or no, it's not, it's not good, I want it to be deleted. So it gives you an extra cushion, so to speak, so that you don't so that it's not allowed into your system and can cause damage to your computer. These are some other things that are, new ways that people are looking at trying to access your computer and all of your things. We have something called a spoofed site. So this is one that it looks like a good website, but the URL is not. And a lot of times when you're doing Google searches, anytime you see the ones at the top and they're marked ad, don't click on those, because those are usually the spoof sites. That's where you're going to find a lot of them. Phishing is actually something my company is doing internally to check to see if we're responding to phishing by other companies. So what happens is, in a phishing threat, there's an email that comes from someone that looks legitimate, and they ask you to click a link within that email, and then it takes you to a spoof site. So what our company actually did was, our company was basically testing us to see if how we were responding to phishing, to make sure that we weren't doing that. And so they kind of been sending out some tests to make sure that we know to look for those kinds of things. So it's kind of a little quiz, and we're just kind of randomly selected. And every once in a while, we'll get these fish emails, and we have to send them back to IT and say, hey, no thanks, that type of thing. And then farming is when a criminal is going to break into the server. So this happens at a higher level, not typically at our our own individualized computer level, but they redirect to some sort of a criminal site, a spoofed site of some sort. So one of the best ways that we can protect ourselves is obviously with some of these different types of software that were mentioned, but even better is making sure that you're logging in and logging out with passwords, and that you use a strong password. And they gave us some examples here. At least 8 characters, upper, lowercase, doesn't include your name or other types of personal information and things like that. So as you're going through this week's material, if you have any questions or problems, please make sure you let me know, and have a great week.